will sound worse, that or me. There's very little, nothing that I could say about Dr. Good that most of you don't know. Can't hear me? You won't miss much. Can you hear me now? Speak into the mic. How's that? But I did have some thoughts about Dr. Good, and in case I wouldn't be able to get my point across, I did write what I have to say. And I hope it means to you what it means to me. The School of the Ozarks has developed within the lifetime of many of us. It started as a school for those who needed a school they could reach and afford. It has developed alongside of the spread and growth of public education, but always as a school for those who need a school that they can reach and afford. And they have to reach this and afford it by some means or another. All along the uncertain way, the development of such a school at such a time, the greatest ingredient had to be faith. I don't know how large Dr. Good's staff was in the beginning, but I do know that Dr. Good's name was synonymous with the School of the Ozarks, whether from inside or outside. I know too that by his own testimony, he thought and acted with certainty that was born solely from his faith that providence would prevent failure. Many times he faced impoverishment of the little institution, only to receive enabling aid from somewhere, aid that helped not only the school, but the people in the countryside as well. Since grace seems somehow to be a companion of faith and effort, so grace, along with Dr. Good, faith and effort, steadily supported growth of the School of the Ozarks. Now, fundraising is a profession. Endowments and requests are sought and encouraged. Subsidies and grants for educational institutions, both public and private, are applied for and expected. To many of us, this is a latter-day development, and so it must have been to Dr. Good in his latter days. But who would consider this greater than the faith of the bean-picking and canning optimistic Dr. Good? He was unique, and as long as there are those of us who remember his efforts and his faith in the lean days, in the tradition of this school, Dr. Good will be synonymous with the School of the Ozarks.
Guess I got that number right. But the June quarterly meeting was slated to be my swan song, or at least the last meeting at which I would officiate as president. An injury kept me from attending that meeting, and I explained very carefully to the nominating committee that I could in no wise serve another term. But the nominating committee paid no attention to me and elected me for president for a second term, and I was so notified. And here I am today. I'll tell you, I have a bad feeling, and it is that if you ask me far enough ahead to do anything, I'm very likely to say yes, or even think that I might not be able to. The thing is, I think that I figured that I may drop dead before that day and not have to do it and still have a reputation for being a pretty good teacher. But anyway, I'm always apologizing for jobs that I think I'm not qualified to do. Last night in Ozark, my hometown, I went to, I guess it's a folk music thing that we have up on the public square every Saturday night. It's been going on for years, and I've never been there until a neighbor, lady girl, came back, and she had heard about it up in Detroit and wanted to go, and we went. It was great fun. The local people come with their instruments, fiddles and banjos and guitars and bass, and they play. There'll be 12 to 25 playing all the time. Somebody gets up and moves out. I don't suppose, excuse me, I don't suppose any one of them reads music. I know they do. But they know instinctively about transition from one key to another, and anybody can just start a tune, the first thing you know, they're 12 or 15 of them playing lustily, all in key. And they realized I was delighted. It's in an old, dilapidated building that's just falling down, and the man who owns it doesn't charge any rent because he said he couldn't rent it. He just thinks it may collapse any minute. But then Mr. Emmanuel Wood, who's quite a character and a very fine man in our town, runs it. He won't let you help pay for the lights or anything, the people tell me. He says it's his child, he's going on with it. He can play anything, any instrument. And his two sons, who come, also can, and so can his daughter. I think they now are coming down to Silver Dollar City and playing part of the time. But they're good, and their music, it's all folk music, I guess you would call it. And they do a good job on it. Well, anyway, I was talking to him last night, and I was telling him about my father supported old-fashioned fiddle contests in his day. He, too, could play nearly anything without knowing any music. Well, he didn't, but he would get the men who did play to come in. And we had one old man named Sam Weatherman. And he always won first prize. Nobody, the other people didn't want him to play because he always won first prize. So one time, we had a guest, a relative of mine, who was a very fine musician, had a fine musical education. And he was visiting us, and Father cooked up one of these fiddle contests. So he said to Fred, my cousin, now you must come and second program. I don't know how much you all know about the technique of fiddle playing, but they just play their tunes and everybody who can comes in with the chords. So Fred was sure he could do it, and we were going along fine until Sam got up to play his. It was a big audience, 4 times this many persons there, and Fred, not knowing what he was going to do, said he was going to play chicken and bread tray. So that was all right, Fred could come in, but he whispered in an aside, and as unobtrusively as he could, he said, Mr. Weatherman, what key will you going to play this in? And it made Sam mad. He said he thought Fred was trying to broad him, I know. He said, it don't make a damn bit of difference, young feller, you just keep up. Well, so now that's what I'm doing. I'm going to try to keep up with you historians. I don't intend to be a historian, but I'll just try to keep up with you who are. And we'll see how we come out this week. I still insist on having roll call. And I have 2 or 3 reasons for it. I know it takes up time, and several of you have told me you think it takes up too much time. How many do you think it takes up too much time? Put your hands up. No. Well, now I'll tell you what. And so I said, well, that's my ball. It's my ball. So I'm going to play the game. I like to have a roll call, and I'll tell you, I have 2 or 3 reasons. One is, I like to know who everybody is. We've all been here a lot, but I think as we grow older, we're faced with a loss of friends. I've been more conscious of that in the last few weeks. 5 close friends of mine have died within the last 6 weeks. And as this comes up, we're going to face a pretty lonely and dull old age if we don't make new friends. And I think there's a wealth of new friendships here for us to draw on if we're interested. I know I have made several friends from coming to these, friends that I expect to enjoy for the rest of my life. If they don't die first. Well, so that's the reason I ask each of you to tell, if you're retired, tell where you came from and what you did before you retired. Now, as we listen, if we hear somebody say he's from a place that we've always been interested in and wish we could see, know something about, or if he says he has a hobby, that's something that we too would like to have as a hobby. Try to get in touch with that person and visit with him before we leave. There's a little while before we leave. I would suggest that you don't always sit by the same person. If you sit beside different seatmates or dinner partners, you may build up some and swap tales. You may come up with some interesting things. Spread our history around, spread it around. And one headline in the paper the other day I saw it said, let's preserve our fascination with Ozark history. Let's have some fun while we're doing it. Okay? So now, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have roll call. I'm tempted to tell another story. I was in, nothing to do with history, but one time in my youth, I was in a pub in England. I know that's what I was going to do. But a big, lousy blonde got up, and she said, I can't imitate a Cockney accent, but she said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to sing Sweet Rosie O'Grady. And right up in the gallery, a drunken sailor, I guess, raised up and he took an overripe tomato and he took her right square here. She didn't flinch, she just took her hand, and she did that, and she says, nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to sing Sweet Rosie O'Grady. And she did, to a great, round, enthusiastic applause. So now we're going to have roll call. Everybody in there is paragon virtue. And I said to my mother one day, I looked up my father and my grandmother, and I said, were they such wonderful people? And Mother said, well, actually, you acquired merit, and your contribution to this thing went up. It cost a lot to publish it, and they didn't expect to make any money. So the amount you gave decided how worthy you were. Is there anybody here from Ozark County? I know there is, but I'm trying to run down on Mrs. Luna. Is she here? Do any of you know her real well long enough to give her a message? Well, we're trying to get up a history of name places down there, and the man who's doing it said he sent the book down to Mrs. Luna and asked her to edit it, and he hadn't heard from her. I thought maybe I'd see her today.
Yes, me right there too.
Did he?
He says maybe she sent it.
So
I'm trying.
well, I don't know, although I see her name, she's on my board of directions. Well, all right, now I'm not going to take time. We have taken video time for this, but I find it often interesting, and I hope you do. Well, I myself am Lucille Anderson, in case I didn't introduce myself. I've had 3 retirements. Each of them after 20 years. I'm almost ashamed to tell it. It's true. I did spend 20 years in New Pittsburgh, mostly in St. Louis, a couple of years abroad. Came back and did advertising for 20 years, and then finally retired really, and came to Ozark and started the library. And after 22 years there, I have just now retired from that. And I'm living in the house where I was born in Ozark 22 years ago. That I'm ashamed of too. Well, I'm going to skip the committee report. We'll have them next time, or if any of the committees have them, they can mail them out. We have, well, I told them to go ahead and get them while we were doing it. I thought they did. A book was published a couple of years, 3 or 4 years ago, called Foxfire. It was on the lore and tradition and crafts and dialect of the Appalachian area. I imagine most of you have read it because it did attract attention, not only in this country, but all over the world. And it was very fine. Now, in our own county, we have something comparable that I think compares most favorably with it. And it is a book called, a magazine called Bittersweet. It's published by a group up at Lebanon. Mrs. Ellen Massey, who is head of the language arts department for the Lebanon High School, is the advisor of the staff. And she has brought a couple of members of the staff.
Turn up the microphone, please.
Is that better now? She has brought 2 of the staff members. They're all high school students, but Do you have a display of your material? Now, be sure to look it up because it's just fantastic. Now, it really is. You're going to be so proud of it. I can hardly keep from talking about it, but I know I shouldn't. I'm going to let Mrs. Massey tell you that I'm going to let her and her students tell you about it. Okay? This is Ellen Massey from Lebanon.
Hear me okay? Thank you very much, Mrs. Anderson. I don't know where we could be any place. You still can't hear? I don't know where we could be any place where we would have a more interesting audience to talk to. As you were introducing yourself, I was thinking, my, but wouldn't that person have a lot of things they could help us with? If we didn't live so far away. Lebanon, Missouri is about 80 miles north of here. Probably most of you know where it is. We're in the Ozarks too. As you well know, the Ozarks covers a lot of territory. We're proud to say, myself and the two students that I brought to you, that we are native Missourian people. And we're sorry for the people who were not born here, but we think you've gotten smart in your older age because you found the place to come that's really good. So we're glad that you came here to retire. Now, we in Lebanon have had for quite some time a course about the Ozarks, where we study all kinds of aspects of it. And because of that, and because of our other interests, we were asked to do for the Ozarks what the Foxfire does for the Appalachian regions. And so 3 years ago, we were approached to do this in Lebanon. Well, we were interested because of our background, because of our interest in publishing and in the Ozarks and our situation. We're at Lebanon, we're not commercialized. We're in between the lake, both lakes. And turn the clear off. Okay, that's a little good. Any rate, let me see if I can you hear me if I just talk like this? Can I? Okay, I'll still take this then. But we have not been, I don't know whether you call it exploited or what you call it, but when we go out and talk with the people in our community, they've never been approached before about this, and many of our craftsmen, our people who know how to do things that we'd like to know are not commercialized, and so we're getting it the way they know how to do it, that their grandparents and great-grandparents did. So we think in some ways that we're fortunate in our location to put out a magazine like this. Now, if you haven't seen it, we're real proud of it. We have a colorful front and back, and the students do every bit of the work. And we will have some over here, and the students, as they talk about it, are going to show you some of the things that are on the inside of it. Okay, it's called Bittersweet. And I was talking to Mrs. Ingenthal over here, and she said, what are you doing? And I said, we're from Bittersweet. She thought I meant the plant. Well, we're partly the plant. The boys and girls had a long time deciding what they were going to call their magazine. It's about the Ozarks. It's all about the Ozarks. It's past, it's present, it's plants, whatever they would want to do. And it's a wide field and a very rich field, as you all well know. And so they came up with this idea of bittersweet because not only is it a plant that grows wild, but it means something. And the word bittersweet, pleasant with overtones of sadness, is what the Ozark culture is. If you look back into the past, there's a lot of hard work. There were a lot of bitter things. There were a lot of nice things. And so we are hoping to capture both the bitter and the sweet of the past and of the present of the Ozarks. And as we're doing that, we are experiencing bitter and sweet experiences ourselves. This is one of the sweet ones that we have, being asked to come to a group like this and being considered, well, worthy, I guess, to talk to people who spend whose hobby and who some of you are their vocation is looking into researching into history. And so we are very flattered and very pleased to be asked to talk with you today. Bittersweet is a magazine about the Ozarks, its culture, its past, its present, everything about it that has contributed to make the Ozarks what it is. Now, obviously, we we are concentrating on our own area just simply because it's close. But we do not put anything in there that wouldn't have of interest to everybody, and we're not taking it just about Laclede County. We include things that would be typical. We do not limit ourselves to our own county. We have been to Taney County, we've been to Arkansas, we've been in the east, we've been the eastern part of the Ozarks. But because of budgeting, it's more difficult and time for us to go other places. And we get letters from people suggesting other people we could contact, and we go whenever we can. So we are hoping to cover it all, because much of the Ozark culture is similar, whether you're in the north part of the Ozarks or the southern. It's a very homogeneous culture, which we all know. So we try to do as much as we can that would be of interest to anybody in the Ozarks. Okay, Bittersweet is a class that meets at Lebanon High School. It's a class the students elect if they wish, and they get an English credit for it. We meet the last hour of the day because we can meet in class, and then if we have to go out, we have the afternoon to go. However, most of our interviews, and many of them, are on weekends, in the summer, holidays, just whenever we have time. The boys and girls then do the original research for their magazine. They do the photography, they do the art, they do the typing, they do the layout, they do the business, they do the circulation, they handle the mail, they do everything under my supervision and my teaching and guidance. And I have brought with me today a couple students to help let you see what it is. Now, I could tell you they're enthusiastic, but you aren't real sure about that until you see the actual boys and girls who put this magazine out. One of the things that we'd love to hear more than anything else is for someone to pick this up and say, do you mean high school students did that? Very incredulously they say that, and we are proud. Yes, high school students did it, just like Teresa, just like Jimmy, that are going to talk to you here in just a moment. It is a very interesting project. It is a very time-consuming one, as you could well imagine. Bittersweet is the magazine that comes out 4 times a year. And before I introduce the students and let them talk, I want to explain how we manage to do this. We do it by spending a lot of time, and we do it by putting together my ideas, the students' ideas, ideas of anybody that we can have, and help from anybody that can give it. It is completely self-supporting. The school does not pay anything toward it other than giving the 1 class hour of my time devoted to it. But from the sale of the magazine and other things that the boys and girls do, completely finance it. And so that is another thing that we're proud of. I think someone mentioned a while ago that we take grants and so forth for granted now when they're talking about Dr. Good. He had to get out and scrounge for the money. Well, there are a lot of grants, but we have not been able to find them either, so we are self-sufficient as far as that's concerned. I'd like to introduce now first, to give you some of the background of what the students do, Jimmy Harrelson, who is a senior at Lebanon High School this year. This is his 2nd year on the staff, and he is assistant art editor and one of our photographers. So Jimmy will talk to you now.
As Mrs. Massey said, I am on the 2nd year staff, and I'm very glad that I am on staff. I would have liked to have been on the 1st year staff, but I just got elected for the 2nd year staff. I'm the assistant art editor and work in photography, and I would like to tell you a little bit about the photography now. There's 4 or 5 boys and 1 girl on the photography part, and we do all the photography for the magazine. And if you go out on an interview or something and to write a story, if you can't get a photographer to go along with you and you know a little bit about it, you take your own pictures. Bittersweet staff has 2 cameras, and they are made by the Honeywell Pentax. And before I started working with photography, I didn't know one thing about it. And that's one thing that I like about it. I got to know more about photography, and it has become one of my major hobbies. As soon as I graduate from high school, I plan to go on to college and major in photography and hope to make it my profession. So I went out and got me a 35mm camera, and this is something like the camera that Bittersweet staff has.
Work on that thing.
Photography is one of the major roles in the magazine. As we take the cover pictures. On some of the magazines, we have a full wraparound picture. It's one single picture. And on the first year, the volume 1, we had 2 pictures, one picture on the front, and then one picture on the back. And they were, boxed out. And now we are making one picture, a full page, in the second volume. It is a full picture, full page on the front, and the full page picture on the back. The pictures that we select for the cover, the whole staff votes on it. And we have somewhere around maybe 20, 30 different selections. And we pick one that we think will be artistic and still get our point across. Photography not only helps in the cover of the magazine, but it helps in the makeup of the magazine. Like I said, we try to get an artistic picture. And like right here, we went out, me and Robert McKenzie, he was on the first year staff, photography editor. We were going to do an interview on a beef honey, And we went out to do it, and then they decided not to cut the tree down. So we was on our way back, and Robert and I was taking a few pictures, and we came across these spider webs on a fence, around a cow pasture. And we had some color film in the camera, so we decided to take a couple pictures of it. And we couldn't find, there wasn't any spider on the web. And I saw a spider, walking along the fence line, so I got on a twig and put it on the spider web, and then it happened to be one of the cover pictures.
He engraved that spider.
Photography has its good points and its bad points. Like you can get real disgusted with it, and then maybe waste 2 or 3 rolls of film trying to get one good picture. On one of my stories, I'm as regular as the goose are going barefoot, is about Fred Manus. It's a personality story. He's a blacksmith in Richland, a native Ozarkian. And we went out there and we was doing a story on him, one over blacksmithing, the techniques and that, and then a personality story on him, and that's what I did. And he likes mice, and he's got a little house that some friends of him built him and sent to him from Colorado. And the mice stay in that house, and he feeds them walnuts and everything, And we decided that if we could get a picture of one of the mice sticking its head out of the hole, eating a walnut, it'd be great. So we went out and 2 or 3 different times, taking pictures of it, trying to get a picture with the mouse sticking his head out one of the little windows. And after wasting about 2 or 3 rolls of film, we finally got it. People on the photography part of the magazine do photo essays. Whoever wants to do it can do it. And we did one photo essay on it was titled Fragments. And these are old pictures that we gathered up and that, and we wanted it to make it look a little bit different from just the regular black and white pictures or color photographs. So we took and had the printer use a brown ink to make the pictures come out in a different tone of brown and white. We use photography in different ways. We use it to bring out some points, and like in a how-to story, like the story that I did on how to make knives, we take pictures of all the different steps and number them, and then write out what they're doing in that picture. And this helps a lot in making the people that's reading the magazine understand how to do it, so like when they get done reading the magazine, they can go out and do it themselves. But photography isn't the only thing that helps the magazine out. Artwork does a lot for the magazine also. And the artwork, well, like in the how-to story, it helps you if you can't find any photographs, you can make drawings of it. Like in the square dancing story, we had some pictures of it, and then one of the members on the art part took and made some drawings of it. And on barbed wire. It shows different types of barbed wire that you can use in making a fence for that. And it would have been too time consuming to go out all over the place hunting the different types of barbed wire. So one of the artists on the staff drew some pictures of them. Another story in the Ozark caves, the geological story, we did a thing over sinkholes, and it shows the different formations of a sinkhole, like from the first beginning of it to the end. And it would have took a long stretched out deal, taking pictures from the beginning to the end. So I made some drawings for it showing the different stages of a sinkhole. I'd like to introduce you now to Teresa Reed, the business manager.
I want y'all to know, first before I start talking, I really did want to come and talk to you. And if I start shaking, it's not because I'm scared, it's because I'm cold. Bittersweet is a democracy. We vote on a lot of things, and can you hear me? And, it's a class decision. So we're a democracy, but Mrs. Massey is a dictator. I am Teresa Reed, and I'm business manager, and this is my second year on the staff. I'm a junior in high school, and I hope to go to college and become an executive secretary or a legal secretary, and that's my ambition. On the business in Bittersweet, we have tapes that we go out and interview people, and we get tapes, and these tapes, after we get them, we transcribe them, and we file them away. And several places have tried to purchase them from us, to buy them, and I don't know what they want to do with them. I guess they want to keep them, but we decided that we would keep them because, there'd be some historical value. And we thought that if anyone got the credit, we should. I handle the bills and the accounts, the deposits in Bittersweet, and we handle quite a bit of money. So it's a pretty important job. And in that way, I feel that Bittersweet helps people with the responsibility, because if one person doesn't carry out the responsibility, it throws the whole magazine off. Our circulation, we have about 2,000 subscriptions, and our book sales is pretty high. That's the way we get most of our money, is through subscriptions and book sales. And we'll have some Bittersweet shopping lists out here soon. Well, they're probably over on the table right now. And if you're interested, you can pick one up, and it tells all the stories that we've written and which issue they're in. In circulation and business, we run off a lot of forms, do a lot of typing. We type everything that goes in the magazine. And the forms that we send out to people, our mailing lists and everything like that. I designed the brochure. We designed all our own things like the brochure, the stationery, the envelopes, just anything. We did everything ourselves except the actual printing. And like this little thing here, this brochure, it took me about 3 months to design it, get what I was going to say on it, pick out the photographs and everything. To get it completely finished, it took about 3 months, and it takes a lot of time to get exactly what you want. The stories, I'm going to talk about my stories because, they're the ones I know about. I wrote a cave story. The first story I wrote, which was about a year and a half ago, I found out I was on the staff, and Miss Massey asked me if I wanted to go sinkhole crawling, cave crawling, and of course, here I was, a freshman, and I said, oh, yes, let me go. So, I went. And I had never been in a sinkhole before. So they started making these little rope harnesses, we had to be safe, had our hats on and everything, gloves. And it was muddy and slick. And I went crawling down the sinkhole. And so it was rock. So we went down on the rope and we got to hold on to this fence. But then when we got down, it went like this, and then there was a drop off. And right here's the little hill that we were supposed to climb on. Well, I am about as graceful as a cow when it comes to climbing down slopes. So I started down, I was being real careful, backing up. Here was this 20-foot drop off between the hill and the incline that I was on. And we were supposed to step over and then kind of hop over, kind of step over on this little incline. So I got down and I was going real slow, step, look back, step, and I slid. And I fell off, and here I was. We had this rope harness. Here's what it looked like. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's right here. It goes around your waist and around each one of your legs. And here I was, holding on to this rope, swinging back and forth between the incline and the little hill. And I was thinking, what have I got myself into, So I came back. Luckily, I got pulled over, and I got on the hill, and we looked around and everything. And I got back up, I don't know how, and we came back, and I wrote a story on it. And I got to write it of my own personal experience, And I started off, I wrote this big thing, and it wasn't what she wanted, what Mrs. Massey thought should go in the magazine, and I read it, I didn't really like it. So I wrote another one. And we didn't like that one either. So finally, on my third try, we decided, okay, that's the type of thing we want. And then I had to write it over 3 times after that to get exactly what we wanted before we put it in the magazine. And then I did my own layouts, which was a new experience, and I worked over the summer to get this. And whenever it came out, I felt so proud. And whenever my grandmother read it, my mom and dad, and it was the most satisfying experience, I think, to see something like that in print and to know that other people are appreciating it too. It's really fantastic. I wrote a midwife story. It was a different type of story. We got a lot of information from a lot of different people, and I had to take all that information and collaborate it together to get this story, and it took me, hours and hours and hours, and it was just, it was hard getting your mind together and organizing all the different thoughts and things. And then after you get the story written, you have to go back and find out all the people that have helped you and, give them credit too because they helped you on it. And it was really, it's called Catching Babies. And we thought it was an interesting title. And we try to get interesting titles so that people will read our magazine. Okay, an interesting title. I wrote a story on moonshine. I've been showing it over here. I'm very proud of it. I have 2 colored pictures in it, and we're using colored pictures now more. And I was very proud of it. It took me long enough to get together, but we went to see this man at Alley Springs State Park. Well, it's not a state park anymore, but anyway, Alley Springs. And there was this man down there, and he says, we were talking along, and I said, do you let the whiskey age? And he says, he says, the old timers used to just take it and drink it right out of the spout, but sometimes I let it age 10 or 15 minutes. So that's what I call my story. Sometimes I let it age 10 or 15 minutes. And then we wrote a story about Roy Gage, and he has some ponies. And it's very important to get your tape turned on right exactly whenever they start talking. Even before you get out of the car, get your tape turned on so you can get everything they say. Because one time, whenever we went and saw Roy Gage, we didn't turn the tape on, and we didn't get it on tape, but we did write down, he said, what was it in there? Them ponies ain't got no reverse. And that's what we titled the story. So we got it written down, and so we got their exact words. That's part of the not the glamour, but part of our magazine is to get the exact words. That's the appeal that it has to people, you know. It shows the characters themselves. Like in my Moonshine story, I felt like I captured his character. And I hadn't seen him before, and I was going to write the story without seeing him because someone else took the interview. And I just couldn't get interested in it. But then after I went down and met him and found out his character, I really was interested in, I was excited about getting down like this story. And after I met him, I wrote it in 3 weeks after I met him. And you've got to get interested, you've got to meet the people. The people, our contacts, are the most precious things that we have to our magazine. They're what gives us our magazine. And there are some fantastic people that we meet and that we get to talk to. And, you know, I didn't appreciate, really, the people that knew the things that we needed to know. I just felt like, you know, oh, they're Ozark people, and I was interested in their tales, but I didn't really think about recording them and how the things could be and how important they'll be to people ahead of that's going to come, you know, in the future. And I think whenever they pick up our magazine and read it, they'll be able to understand more what the Ozarks was like before their time. We've had two of our really great contacts that have helped us with many stories die in the last year. And we know now that we should have gone ahead and we should have got these interviews because they were just fantastic personalities, and now we've lost them forever. But one man, Charlie McCann, we've got him on a sound sheet, and he's calling us square dance. He's in our square dance story, and we've done personalities on him and his wife. And, you know, we've got that preserved now. He's gone, but there's still part of him left here. And it's really a great feeling to know that you've done that for someone. That's what makes the magazine all worthwhile, I think. And it's the most fantastic experience I've ever really had. And it's helped me decide, you know, what I'm going into and what I hope to become.
Thank you, Teresa. There's one thing I wanted to say at the beginning that I neglected to say, is that we strive for authenticity. We don't want to write anything here that isn't true. We don't write anything that's the glamour about the Ozark that isn't true. You know, a lot of the pictures that you hear about the Ozarks are commercialized. We try to get the genuine people. And we go to the source, the people who know how to do this. Rarely do we use books because they aren't in books. What we're looking for, we go to the library, we constantly do, but we are always disappointed because we can never find anything there that we want. The people who are the experts are the people out in the area that we hear about and we go talk to. We record verbatim everything they say on cassette tape recorders, and then the students come back to class and they transcribe word for word all those tapes. If any of you have ever done that, you know it's very time consuming. It takes the students about 10 hours to transcribe 1 hour of tape interview. And most of our interviews are about a couple hours or 3 hours long. And then after they transcribe it, we type it, and then they work. That is their resource material from which they write their story. Sometimes one interview will be enough. Sometimes we need many, many. Then, after we get the story written, we take it back to the contact, to the person who told it. Is it right? Have we got anything in it wrong? Do you mind if we put this in? And so forth. Because we want it to be accurate. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have mistakes. We do. We get letters from people and we find them ourselves, but we try not to. And we are trying our best to represent the Ozarks with the respect and dignity that the Ozarks deserves. Thank you.
Yes.
magazine, even from any college, that can beat that. It's a marvelous thing.
It is lovely, and the back issues are available also.
High school people and their teacher does it. And in one of the earlier issues, there was a marvelous article about Daisy Cook, who used to live here in Branson, and is a very good painter. There was an awfully good article about her. And there are copies at the Branson Library. If any of you Branson people want to go and look them over, I'm sure they'll let you have them.
Well, I might say, and I did neglect to say that we have had help from the Missouri State Council on the Arts, and they have given us the money for 300 subscriptions which go to libraries. And so many of the libraries, almost all the libraries in the Ozark area, have subscriptions from that. And I certainly appreciate your kind words. That does us good. It makes it all worthwhile. Questions after the meeting is over. The students and I will be here.
In Springfield, and I was sitting here dying to say almost the same thing she did about how much we use it and how much we enjoy it and how proud we are of what you've accomplished. And we were just so thrilled. And when I saw this little line in the Springfield paper that you all were going to be here, I rushed home and said to my husband, I have to go. I want to meet them. So it really is.
That wasn't all she said, send some money.
So you've done a great job.